Yeah, so a few weeks ago, Microsoft won the injunction against the FTC was filing an injunction against Microsoft to prevent them from closing the deal. They lost, and this quickly triggered like some action between Microsoft and the CMA, who were the only regulatory board that had denied the deal, to kind of like go back to the negotiating table, because I think the CMA was now very worried at the prospect of Microsoft just closing the deal, although apparently that was a big bluff by Microsoft.
Hmm.
But either way, it worked, and the CMA and Microsoft chatted, and the results of that was Microsoft saying they would give control of their streaming business to Ubisoft in the UK to appease any sort of anti-competition concerns. And the CMA said, cool, this means we're going to have to relook at the deal, and it's going to take until like October 18th. And this week, the CMA released a press release basically saying that they had identified limited residual concerns and that they had provisionally approved the acquisition. What happens now is that they open the floor to like third parties and the public to voice any concerns, and then they listen to concerns and take those into consideration. So this in no means is like this isn't confirmed, but like this is pretty much 95% of the way there. Like the CMA themselves are saying we are happy now with the deal, which was not the case prior. So yeah, it says the CMA will now, quote, consult on the remedies over the next 2 weeks until October 6th before it announces its final decision, which is meant to come out before October 18th.
Wow.
So this deal could fucking close by the end of the year. Thank
I mean,
God.
it's been like 45 years.
Yeah, it's just... Also, if you're someone interested only in this purely from the idea of what arrives on Game Pass, like I've seen a lot of people asking, reporters specifically who are reporting on this, like, what does this mean immediately for Game Pass? Nothing. Like Phil Spencer said previously, like it will take months for things to filter down content-wise.
The deal's signed. Get Call of Duty on there immediately.
It's literally, they're not just fucking ready to go with Call of Duty and like Crash Bandicoot on Game Pass.
Push the Call of Duty button. The deal's signed.
Get Modern Warfare on Game Pass. And as far as I know, it won't affect Call of Duty at least this year and next year. I think PlayStation still has a deal in place that prevents it from going on Game Pass at the very least. So yeah, that's not going to change soon either. I might be wrong about next year though. I don't know. It might just be this year anyway. But yeah, definitely this year will not be on Game Pass, irrespective of whether this closes before it's out or not. So yeah.
Well, keeping in Microsoft news, shall we talk about the week that was Microsoft leaking all of the things?
Yeah, well, yeah, Microsoft leaking their own things, apparently so.
Because this also came from the deal, right? Somebody uploaded the wrong file. I don't know, a whole story basically. But yeah.
Basically a gigantic leak of unredacted documents that were sent to the FTC or the Federal Trade Commission. They were accidentally uploaded online, or at least the unredacted versions were uploaded online. It seems like the means of uploading was correct. It was just the wrong files were put there. And it was very quickly identified that Microsoft was at fault, so they can't really go after anyone. But boy, did it give a real insight into like Microsoft as a whole over the past like couple of years, especially with regards to the Xbox business. So Kotaku has so usefully collected most of the big things from there. So let's just go through them real quick. Microsoft considered buying Nintendo. So this is not necessarily true. A lot of how this email, because it comes from an email, reads is like Phil Spencer was asked about whether they should look at acquiring Microsoft, and his answer was a very like candid no, but in a way that is like, this is some of the challenges that would be presented with acquiring a Nintendo. This doesn't mean Microsoft is actively pursuing this. But at the same time, it also doesn't mean that Microsoft wouldn't consider this given the correct circumstances, which is kind of what Spencer says. He's like, the market needs to be right for this sort of move to take place. And that is not right now. So of course, like, do you think PlayStation's not looking at the same thing? Of course they are. Everyone's looking at everyone else for a way to increase shareholder value. Yeah.
Yeah, show me
But
the
people
email.
took this as like Microsoft is actively looking to buy Nintendo tomorrow, and it's like, no. It's
I mean,
stupid not what's
they've
happening.
got $69 billion for Activision. How much do you think a Nintendo would cost?
I guess it all depends on their share price because they're publicly traded. So I really
think
don't
it'd
know.
still be some big molar.
I don't know what, like, how many shares they've issued. So, like, would they be more than an Activision? Maybe.
In my head, I think so, but I don't actually know. But yeah, Bethesda might be working on an Oblivion remaster.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, there was a whole roadmap of like Bethesda games that are meant to come out. I think a lot of this came through on the like sort of documentation that was provided to Microsoft when they were acquiring Bethesda, like what Bethesda would deliver over a number of years. And they were already far behind on those expectations. Like Starfield was meant to come out last financial year, which I guess was true at some point. But on that list were a bunch of sequels and unannounced projects, such as a sequel to Ghostwire Tokyo, Dishonored 3, remasters of Fallout 3, and The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. I personally would take a Fallout 3 remaster any day. I'd be very happy with that. Dishonored 3 as well. I'd be very stoked for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people saw Dishonored 3 are like, interesting.
I don't think anyone is clamoring for a Ghostwire Tokyo sequel.
Look, I'm not clamoring for a sequel, but I do think that the sequel would definitely be better than the base game.
I mean, it would struggle to be worse.
Wow. Damn.
I really don't like that game. I think it's so boring.
Good God. Cool. Let's just fly through these. Spencer, AAA game publishers lost their mojo. Stated that AAA publishers were slow to react to the disruption of digital storefronts like Steam and shops built into. Okay.
Yeah, after losing the advantage of highly exclusive access to consumer in brick and mortar stores, they have not found a way to effectively cross promote. They have not found a way to build publisher brands that drive consumer affinity the way Disney has in video. I think he's completely correct. Like, I think what they've done is just sink a lot of money into singular projects in a means to make that the next big franchise. Like, you only have to look at Ubisoft for this.
Yeah.
Ubisoft has put all of its eggs into the Assassin's Creed basket. And for the last decade have been floundering on what to do with all of their properties. So yeah, I think Phil Spencer's completely correct. And, you know, the digital age is kind of like whacked big publishers for six. Activision would not be in a position where they needed to sell if this wasn't true.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Crazy. Microsoft expected a Red Dead Redemption 2 next-gen refresh
in 2022, but it didn't happen.
Shock.
Guess they guessed, and
this is an interesting one. 3/4 of Xbox gamers had a Series S.
That's huge.
Which is huge. Yeah, that's way higher than I thought it would be. I mean, I knew the Series S was like, it's almost like a no-brainer if you either entering gaming or looking to jump to next gen. I mean, it's a lot more affordable than an Xbox Series X. But I did not expect it to be that percentage of them sold, which explains, I guess, why. Because like I look at the 1 terabyte version now that's just launched or launching it out, and I think like, but why? I don't know why. Because they've sold a lot of them. Yeah, interesting.
It seems that according to Kotaku, more recent data suggests that the split is more 50-50 now. But still, that's huge.
That's still high, yeah.
I remember when Baldur's Gate 3 was big now, people were saying, well, they just need to drop parity. This is, like you said, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. So, yeah,
like
this is a headache that Microsoft will need to solve.
Yeah, like if you look at it as a raw number, it's half your Xbox audience are on the mid gen console.
And you can't say like, cool, now you're going to get half the game.
No.
You know, it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
So you mentioned Baldur's Gate 3 and this headline, Microsoft dramatically underestimated Baldur's.
There's also another weird one because it's like there's been a lot of discussion on what the wording actually means. Yes, some take it to mean this, like Microsoft underestimated them and estimated that they would only have to pay a very low amount to get the game on Game Pass by describing it as second run Stadia PC RPG. Others later on have come to suggest that second run actually just means it was going to launch on Stadia after PC, and Microsoft that's what they were describing as second run, not that they were describing the game's like inherent value. So I don't know. A lot of these things are without context, but like the Lawrence, director of publishing, tweeted out, Microsoft were not the only ones to like underestimate Baldur's Gate 3. So
I just love
makes sense.
They go on to say there just isn't any existing data that could have told anyone how Baldur's Gate 3 was going to perform. We just had to take giant spooky leaps.
I mean, anyone coming out of the woodwork being like, "Oh, how could they have not seen this was going to be a gigantic game?" Please tell me where you until the game launched, no one knew that.
No,
literally no one could have told you like the impact it would have had. And even if you look back, like this guy from Larian says, like you look back at Divinity Original Sin 2, same thing. Like there's no indication that the jump from that to Baldur's Gate 3 would have been this big. Phil Spencer wasn't impressed by the PS5 reveal. He basically just says that the Xbox is a better product than what Sony has, not just on a hardware, but equally important on the software platform and services. We have the ingredients of a winning plan. Today was a good day for us. That was on the day of the PS5 reveal. Obviously, I guess since then, Phil Spencer has come out to say that losing the previous gen was the worst thing that could have happened because I guess he underestimated the pull of staying on the same digital library.
Yeah.
And now the hardware doesn't necessarily matter as much.
This one makes me laugh. Microsoft accidentally got an exclusive Sega game. I mean, this I didn't know. This is so interesting. So, as the next-gen consoles launched in 2020, fans of Sega's long-running Yakuza series were surprised that its latest entry, Like a Dragon, was available on Xbox Series X and S, but not PlayStation 5. And the Yakuza franchise has been long associated with PlayStation. So the leak revealed that Microsoft was just as surprised, and it turns out the reason for Like a Dragon landing on Xbox first was due to two competing regional exclusivity agreements Sega made two competing regional exclusivity agreements Sega made essentially short-circuited each other. The result, Xbox players ate well while PlayStation fans wept into. I mean, good God.
Business is weird, man. Sometimes
That's
you just
so funny.
So weird. Because it was weird. Like Yakuza was a PlayStation thing.
And it just
for so long, and now you saw during the week during the TGS showcase for Xbox, like a Dragon Gaiden is coming to Xbox Game Pass day one. And I think the Like a Dragon sequel's coming to Xbox also day one next year. It's not like an exclusive to PlayStation for any given time. So yeah, they've done well.
Good on them.
So these are now we're getting into things that may or may not ever happen because like these sorts of things are old and not necessarily, confirmations that we will get this, but there's a new Xbox Series X console that apparently might go all digital in 2024. Leaked data indicates that the possible hardware refresh will include more internal storage, faster Wi-Fi, reduced power, and a more immersive controller. It looks like a cylinder, which is super, super weird. And that's down to like using less plastic and, recyclable packaging, blah, blah, blah. Also no disk drive. So yeah, that's a thing. Along with the new controller, there's a new controller that Microsoft calls it's codenamed Sebel. Shows a two-tone design, modular thumbsticks, features that many PlayStation fans have known for years, like to lift to wake up, precision haptic feedback, and an accelerometer. So gyro support and better haptics. Nice. So yeah, that's cool, I guess. And then the last one was Microsoft's comments on their next Xbox for 2028. They see it as a hybrid machine, not a Switch, but basically a home console and cloud streaming device is what they define as hybrid. And they plan to leverage the power of clients and cloud to deliver deep immersion and entirely new classes of gameplay, also powered by AI. So yeah, sounds interesting. There's a big deep dive into this by Digital Foundry on Eurogamer, specifically the plans for the 2028 console. So if you're more interested in that, you should go read up on that. They did they actually spoke about what tech could power this and what it could mean and blah, blah, blah.
Well, there we
go. Big embarrassing leak for Microsoft. I think they basically came out and said, a lot of this stuff is outdated. Please don't take it as a gospel. Look forward to plans in the near future, which is pretty much all they could say after this.
Cool. Other pieces of news. This is a big week in so this happened at the beginning of the week. Unity announces significant changes to its controversial new pricing. It did happen at the beginning of this week, or was it the end of last week maybe? Because
the changes now were literally last night.
Well, there you go. I don't know, you probably better versed at explaining what happened here with Unity changing their stance on payments and all sorts of developer side stuff.
It was a lot.
Just break it down for
it was a lot. The core of it was basically this idea of this Unity runtime fee. So Unity as an engine, as a product model, doesn't take royalties, like a percentage of royalties from games. It is kind of like the thing it has always done, counter to Unreal, and why like a lot of indie devs have gone to it, because it makes more sense financially for them. They buy the software and that is it. But now basically Unity, what they try to do was retroactively change their terms of service and basically be like, anyone using any version of Unity is now beholden to this Unity runtime fee, which means that per install of a game and on top of your existing license subscription, you will need to pay us money. So if you reach a certain threshold of installs or revenue, you will have to pay us a percentage back from that based on how many people have installed and played your game. Now, this threw up a lot of questions like, what happens if someone uninstalls and reinstalls my game? What happens to free-to-play games where installation is kind of purpose? What happens to games offered through charity bundles, Humble Bundle, blah, blah, blah? How is this monitored? How is this audited? Because how is the system prevented from being abused? If someone really doesn't like your game, they can just enact a mass install campaign. It's
things
like stuff
you never thought
developers
you
were
would
asking.
hear.
Yeah,
I hate this game. Mass install it.
These are the sort of questions developers are asking, and the first response from Unity was like really, really poor. It kind of just described like they said, "Oh, we have this black box software that will detect installs for a certain game. Also, you cannot audit the figures that we find. Also, we cannot tell you how it works." And it was like, what? Like, it just didn't make sense. So there's been a lot of backlash from this, like people being like, we're going to delete our games. I mean, the Cult of the Lamb devs were like, oh, we're deleting our games from purchase on January 1st because we can't afford to, run into issues with this. A lot of devs being like, well, I'm moving to, I think it's Godot or Godot, a new engine that's very similar to Unity. Or some people being like, well, we're going to move to Unreal. Anyway, so Unity last night announced that they will no longer be charging per install runtime fees for any developer using the Unity Personal or Unity Plus versions of their engine, so not like enterprise versions. A nice little bonus is that those versions of the engines always had to display the Unity splash screen in front of their game. They no longer have to, which is cool.
Nice.
They will still charge the Unity Pro and Enterprise users, but across two key thresholds. They need to cross $1 million in gross revenue, trailing 12 months. So that's a rolling 12-month period of 1 million gross revenue, and they have to reach 1 million initial engagements, which presumably means installs. So 1 million installs and $1 million rolling revenue. And then they will only take 2.5% of the game's monthly gross revenue, and that will be self-reported by the developer, which makes fuck all sense to me. I don't understand how they expect the system to work when the developer is meant to self-report installs and gross revenue.
Yeah.
Like, okay. Also, this will only be for people who choose to upgrade to the new version of Unity in 2024, which will have its own new terms of service, and they will no longer be trying to retroactively apply this to the terms of service across all the other versions prior to this, which is kind of like the really big issue. So, I mean, some devs are still not happy about this, and I get that. I think Unity has irreparably nuked their reputation with developers for trying this. Because, companies do this all the time. They try to get away with something, they hear feedback, and they pull it back to a point where they were kind of already happy. They just try and get away with as much as they can first to see what but it's tarnished the faith for some devs. I just think this allows a lot of developers who are like 2, 3, 4 years into a project to at least remain on whatever version they're on, release the game, and then make a decision, and not have to worry about now, like, revenue wise, how to deal with this retroactively. But I think Unity fucked up here, and John Riccatello can get fucked. So,
Well, there you have it. Cool. I did not know this. Ubisoft announces the Division 3 adding to its pile of unreleased Division games.
Well, if you missed a tweet, you probably would. I only saw this in a tweet. It was such a weird way for a game to be announced.
That is very weird, because the Division is not a small franchise. I know many people who play and love the Division.
Yeah, Ubisoft just buried it in a press release, and they were like, Division 3 is also as part of our plans. It's like, what?
Excuse me?
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a very early project. Apparently, Ubisoft is still building a team for Division 3, which will once again be developed by Massive Entertainment. The lead behind that is the same person who's working on Star Wars Outlaws. So yeah, I don't expect Division 3 to really appear properly until that game is out and done. But it is weird. Like, remember all the big exactly, like all the big flashy trailers for Division 3 that we used to get at E3, and now it's just like a footnote in a press release.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Very strange.
That's so weird. Someone managed to beat Zelda Tears of the Kingdom without visiting the surface.
I would like you to tell me how this is possible.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't finished the game. Hold on. Someone managed to beat without visiting the surface. How? Oh, so maybe
without the help of the paraglider, without the completed map.
Hang on. So I'm just reading. Black_hand_got_hard said they completed the run because they, quote, smoked a little too much Sunderline and got a at the time brilliant idea. What the hell? Okay, well, I don't want to read too much into this because I haven't finished the game, but I can't quite understand how this works.
So it shows maps for the depths and the Sky Islands unlocked, but no map for the surface.
But so I'm just thinking,
the run relied heavily on navigating the Sky Islands using floating above the surface by using Zonar technology.
So I was just going to say, so if we think about it, okay, I'm not reading this article for spoiler reasons, so forgive me. If you're interested, you can look it up. It's literally titled on Polygon, what I said earlier. Someone managed to beat Zelda Tears of the Kingdom without visiting the surface. So when you start the game, you start on the Sky Island, right? So I think plausibly, okay, you could jump off that island and go down into a chasm. But you said that they don't use a paraglider at all.
Yeah.
So
they use a lot of wing devices and motorbikes to get around, apparently.
But then you've got I'm assuming they do the tutorial island. They get ascend and other abilities. So maybe you run around in the surface and you ascend to certain spots, but you'll still need to get to the surface then. Doesn't make any sense. I need to bookmark this and come back in like 3 months. So the only reason I'm not going to is because it says this post may contain spoilers. I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah, no, I get it. And there's nothing really here. But yeah, it's kind of nuts. Like, he kind of just made his own map from the Sky Islands and created Zona devices to get around. And completed what he could in the sky.
You haven't done the Rito part of the story yet?
Not yet.
No, okay. So he mentions fighting that boss, which I have fought. And he says fighting without a paraglider was difficult. I'm like, how the hell did you fight it without a paraglider?
The beauty of Tears of the Kingdom, you can do anything if you put your heart and mind and smoke sunderlines to it.
Well, there you go. If you're looking for a really good way to play Tears of the Kingdom, you'll need a Switch, but you'll need a Switch with this Nitro Deck.
Oh, what a segue. Goddamn.
This is why I own Triple. So you found this review or saw this review earlier this week, and basically it is a handheld dock you can plonk your Switch into. But man, it looks really good. It looks
sick.
Yeah, yeah, sorry, go for it. I'm at the picture.
No, it's cool. It's like it's exactly like you said. It's a dock, so you plug your Switch into it, and there's like a USB-C port at the bottom, and you actually have to activate Pro Controller wired mode on the Switch for it to communicate, because it uses wired communication, not Bluetooth. So it helps with like latency and stuff, but it's like quite hefty. I've seen a lot of reviews describe this. Oh, sorry, this is called the Nitro Deck.
Yes.
For anyone actually looking for it, by CRKD. And yeah, it's just like a heftier thing, so that if you've got bigger hands and you find yourself cramping when using the Switch, this is more for that. So the buttons are a bit more pronounced. The thumbsticks are Hall effect, so they won't develop drift over time. It's got rumble. Most importantly to me, it still supports gyro, because a lot of these, like, I don't know if you've seen the Hori split pad, that very big chunky thing that slides into the rails of the Switch. It doesn't support gyro. Okay. So it's like, I personally love gyro supports in things like Zelda, where I'm shooting arrows and I can make fine adjustments with the movement of. So this is sort of like something I would be super interested in. And it's like $60, which is not terrible.
I just want to add to you saying gyro supports. Have you ever tried shooting an arrow in Zelda when you're on the bus?
Oh, it must be impossible.
It's impossible. It's like you're not even moving, and Link's like, oh. Sorry, I just you
that
just
would give me such. I don't even think I'd play that, because like playing games on, like, I used to play games on a train, like, to work, and I had to stop because I used to get crazy motion sick.
Really? No, I don't get motion sick, thankfully.
The idea of like looking at a screen and movement happening in my peripheral fucks with me, but I cannot imagine that.
I'd love the point of view of anyone watching me play. Like someone over my shoulder, like, man, this guy's so good at Zelda. What is he doing with this bow? Oh man, worst Zelda players. Yeah. But yes, this dock does look really good. And I think the fact that it's $60, I think like who's this, Polygon, they rightfully say, they open the review with, at $80 per set, and Nintendo's Joy-Cons for the Switch aren't cheap to replace. And it is criminal how expensive a Joy-Con is. Like, I acknowledge the technology and all the features packed into them, but $80 a pair. I mean, in South Africa, what are they now? Like 1,800 Rand a pair, which is just like, that is a lot of money. You think a DualSense costs 1,500 Rand, an Xbox controller costs 1,500 Rand. Those are cheaper. And I mean, those often go on sale. It's not uncommon to find a PS5 DualSense on Takealot for like 1,000 Rand, 1,200 Rand. Feels like the Joy-Cons just never go on sale. So this is a good replacement for anyone suffering from, or anyone who either just wants a really nice upgrade, or anyone who's got Joy-Con drift and they want to fix that. The units, I know audio listeners, you can't see it, but it looks it looks like it makes your Switch just like the handheld mode, but to this particular skin they're showing, it's the GameCube skin.
Yeah, so that's a special edition
Yeah.
skin that's slightly more expensive as well, but
But just the way it
yeah,
looks like a GameCube portable if it were to exist. Like it's done really
yeah.
well. Very cool. Yeah.
It's a super cool accessory, and it fits the original and OLED switches, and it comes with different like thumbstick nubs. You can have concave or convex ones, which I always love because I like concave ones. Yeah, it's a really cool. I mean, we are very late in the Switch life cycle, so
Yeah.
maybe you're not keen on like picking up a new accessory for it, but like if you just threw away a pair of Joy-Cons, then I would suggest this for sure.
I would love it if I don't think this would happen, but think of how Nintendo released the OLED and it's the exact same size. Like it's a smart move, I think, because then all your Joy-Cons are compatible. Accessories like this work. I thought it'd be if the Switch 2 was, it would never happen, I know, but if the Switch 2 was the exact same size, everything, just upgraded hardware and whatever, it still used the same sort of dimensions, maybe not Joy-Cons, but how cool would it be that it's like, no, it's backwards compatible with our old controllers if you wanted, whatever.
That would be cool. That'd be super cool.
Would it happen?
No.
We're gonna kill my
Absolutely
dreams like
not.
this, man. Damn. But that's news for this week.